Massachusetts ballot question 2 would allow more charter schools in the state. On Monday, Connecting Point correspondent Carolee McGrath spoke with question 2 backers. Today, ballot question 2 opponents, State Representative John Scibak and Yolanda Cancel, say they're not opposed to charter schools, but rather to lifting the cap on their number because they feel it will divert funds from public schools and hurt students.
This will create 12 additional charter schools every year forever. We're not even at the cap yet. So why should we raise the cap when we're not at the cap, number one? Number two, there are issues in terms of funding streams. The reality is if I look over the last 5 years, 75% of the charter school increase have happened in 8 communities, of which Springfield is one. If I look over the last 5 years, Springfield funding for charter schools increased 12.3%. For non-charter schools, it increased 5.8%. So charter schools are getting twice as much funding. Number three, there's no data to look at. We hear about these waiting lists, but we also hear that the parents who are on multiple waiting lists. So let's see, number one, how many people are truly on the waiting list. Let's see what communities they're in. I don't want to see a situation where 12 charter schools go into effect every year in communities that may not even need them.
But even if there were 200 people on a waiting list, those 200 kids, their parents very much disagree with you. They don't want to be in the public school and they want another choice. What do you say to those parents?
Well, there are a couple of things. They do have choice. We have school choice. We have private schools.
Right, but
we have
the
other
school
situations.
choice slots are also limited in communities. So what other situations would you advise them to look into?
I think what we ought to do is look at those school districts where they don't want their children to continue to be. And what are the issues there? And what should we be doing in terms of targeting?
So Yolanda, you have had children who have gone to charter schools and public schools. Tell me your experience and why are you opposed to question 2?
I'm opposed to question 2 because my sons attended charter schools and my oldest had dyslexia. So instead of them, he was there, he started off at the 6th grade. And they worked with him for about 6 months until they figured out that they no longer wanted to work with him. I tried to see, because I didn't want to put him in public schools at the time. I figured it's a smaller class, you know. And once it got to the principal, he's like, "No, we don't have the staff or whatever to help him out with that." So he had to attend the public school. He graduated, yes. But I felt that they should have done something, you know. With my daughter who attends a charter school now, yes, she's okay with the charter school, but I feel like there could be a lot more things that could be done between, you know, charter and public school. My thing is if funding is removed from public schools at all times, it's like saying that then a public school child doesn't matter opposed to a charter school child.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the funding. The proponents say that, look, this money follows the child, so that when people say, oh, we're losing all of this money in the local districts, they say, wait a minute, you're reimbursed, and you're reimbursed for 5 years after, 100% the first year, and you are able to recoup those costs. Are they wrong?
No, you reimbursed 100% the first year and 25% for the next 4 years. And the reality is if I have a 5th grade classroom and I lose 6 students or 7 students to a charter school, I'm not going to close that 5th grade classroom. The cost of paying that teacher continues. So the reality is that money does follow the child into another school. And yes, there is some reimbursement. The legislature and the state has not been consistent in terms of providing full reimbursement. It's interesting. Would charter schools be as successful if we provided them with 25% of the funding as opposed to 100%? We'll give you 100% the first year and 25% following it. And I think what you would have found is charter schools would have abandoned the Commonwealth and would have left. I think there are other realities, and that is when I look at the percentages of students who with special needs, as we just heard from Yolanda, the percentage is much higher in the public schools as opposed to the charter schools. So we're looking at a situation where potentially there may be some cherry picking. there may be some differences that are significant.
Right, and proponents would say absolutely not. It's a random lottery, and we did have folks in on the other side who said, look, we do special ed. We are bound by the state. We have to answer to the state, so we are providing those services. As a matter of fact, I spoke with a mom who's also a teacher who said that her daughter does receive the necessary services. So how is it that it's not enough? You want to see more?
I think if you look at the special education comparisons between the public schools, the traditional public schools and the charter schools. So there are public schools who, based on evaluations, are sending kids out to residential schools, to other schools that are costing as much as $250,000 per year. I'm not seeing that same phenomenon happening in charter schools. So there really are some significant differences. I'm not necessarily opposed to charter schools per se.
Tell us about that.
But I think the reality is, where are we today? Where were we in the beginning? Charter schools, when they started, as decades ago, were supposed to be actually disseminating best practices. I'm not seeing that necessarily happening. We're seeing charter schools that are closing as a result of problems, financial problems, other problems. So charter schools aren't necessarily the panacea that they're purported to be. And so what we're now looking at is a ballot question that says, irrespective of what we've seen relative to financial situations, special ed students, closures of charter schools, we are now going to add 12 charter schools a year, and not necessarily in those districts where parents are waiting and waiting and waiting because they're on a waiting list. I think the ballot question is poorly worded. I think it's promising things to families that simply they're not going to be able to deliver on. And I think it would be a terrible mistake to pass this ballot question.
But at the end of the day, you had the choice to send your children to charter school. You see both sides of it now. How could you say to a parent in Holyoke, where the state came in to take over the school system, that this is not a good idea? What would you say to them as a mother?
Well, as a mom, what I would say to them is, even if it was a mom that says, no, my child's in charter school, I'm going to vote yes, but she has to think that her child is going to have a child. You can't just automatically agree that your grandchildren won't have disability and that the charter school is going to take that child in. So to me is, I would explain to them, think for the future. Let's work on keeping public schools in a better area, and let's see what we could do. At least let's keep it in conversation and start with having public schools become better instead of having so many charter schools when we haven't even reached the cap of charter schools. And charter schools have to be worked out as well. I have a daughter in charter school, so I see it. I know personally it's not all glorious as they make themselves out to be.
No, but you had the choice, and I think that's where people are really struggling.
They have the choice, but it also is your child's not guaranteed to go into that charter school. So are you going to sit there and you're going to wait, or you're going to work on the school your child's in at this particular moment?
Yolanda, thank you so much for joining us, and Representative Scibak, thank you so much. We appreciate it.